There's a sort of a philosophic concept that a sufficiently advanced civilization will be able to create a simulation. Yeah, maybe you've answered this before. A simulation.
I've had so many simulation discussions; it's crazy.
Okay, so because
in fact, it got to the point where basically every conversation was the AI/simulation conversation. And my brother and I finally agreed that we would ban such conversations if we were ever in a hot tub. Okay. That was like, because that really kills the magic.
Hot tub, so the idea is right. Any sufficiently advanced civilization could create a simulation that's like our existence, and so the theory follows that maybe we're in the simulation. Have you thought about this? And
a lot.
Are we?
Even in hot tubs? So much so it had to be banned from a hot tub.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not the sexiest conversation.
Are we in?
I mean, I think here's, the strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. That 40 years ago, we had Pong, like two rectangles and a dot. That was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. Mm-hmm. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. They'll be indistinguishable. Mm-hmm. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be billions of such computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions. So tell me what's wrong with that argument.
Is the answer yes?
The argument is probably. But I just is there a flaw in that argument?
I mean, someone.
I'm not sure what the error.
No. The argument makes sense. So the assumption then is that somebody beat us to it, and this is a game.
No. There's a 1 in billions chance that this is base reality.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
Well, I think it's 1 in billions.
Okay.
I mean, that seems to be clearly what it suggests.
Right.
And actually, I mean, arguably, we should hope that that's true, because otherwise, if civilization stops advancing, then that may be due to some calamitous event that erases civilization. So maybe we should be hopeful that this is a simulation, because otherwise...
Because they could reboot it.
Well, otherwise, either we're going to create simulations that are indistinguishable from reality, or civilization will cease to exist. Those are the two options.
I want to talk about AI, because we've been talking about it a lot here, which I want to get it clear what your thoughts are, because it's mostly Elon scared of robots. I mean, that kind of thing. Or how do you...
I'm scared of robots.
Artificial intelligence. Can you clarify exactly what the issue you have now?
And you deserve the background. We've been talking to Jeff Bezos, Sundar Pichai. We talked to Mark Fields from Ford about it.
The
Facebook folks. There certainly seems to be in the tech companies a big, tremendous new drive or interest to believing there will be all competing for intelligent assistance.
And it's good. It'll make your life better.
Make your life better.
Technology
Siri is going to suddenly get smart. Yeah. Microsoft's one is going to get smart. Google is going to cream them all.
It's largely a happy version of this. Sometimes technology hurts you, but not as much as it helps you. That's really...
Yeah. So there's been a lot of conversation here about that.
Yeah, sure.
And you've staked out a slightly different position. So can you talk about that?
Well, I mean, I think my sort of full position would require quite a long explanation. I mean, I am concerned about certain directions that AI could take that would be not good for the future. I mean, I think it would be fair to say that like not all AI futures are benign, not all.
Okay.
And so if you have something, if we create some digital superintelligence that exceeds us in every way by a lot, it's very important that that be benign. And so actually with a few others, I created OpenAI, which is an AI. It's a nonprofit actually. There's no. I think the governance structure here is important. So we want to make sure that there was not some fiduciary duty to generate, profit off of the AI technology that's developed. So we created this 501c3, but I think it's quite different from. I mean, like a lot of sort of 501c3s are, they don't have a high sense of urgency, and like they're not like, they're not really sort of developing technology at a fast pace. But OpenAI is. So OpenAI has a very high sense of urgency, and I think that the people that have joined are really, really amazing. And the intent with OpenAI is to democratize AI power. There's a quote that I love from Lord Acton. He was the guy that came up with power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, which is that freedom consists of the distribution of power and despotism in its concentration. And so I think it's important, if we have this incredible power of AI, that it not be concentrated in the hands of a few and potentially lead to a world that we don't want.
And what world is that? What do you foresee that when you see it?
It's difficult. I mean, it's called the singularity because it's difficult to predict what future that might be. Except I don't know a lot of people who love the idea of living under a despot. I don't think people generally choose to live in a democracy over a dictatorship.
And the despot would be the computer?
Or the people controlling the computer.
And do you worry specifically about any of these companies I mentioned who've all seemed to now kind of be pivoting toward this as the battleground in the next 10 years?
I won't name a name, but there is only one.
There's only one you're worried about. And they're not preoccupied with making a car that will compete with you, I assume.
There's only one.
And tell me, this is an interesting.
It's not about competing. This is sort of like what would be the point of competing for, mutual destruction? It's like it's not about competing. It's really just about trying to increase the probability that the future will be good. That's all. So the goal of OpenAI is really just to take the set of actions that are most likely to improve the positive futures. Like you can think of like the future as a set of probability streams that branch out and then converge, collapse down to a particular event, and then branch out again. And there's a certain set of probabilities associated with the future being positive, and different flavors of that. And at OpenAI, we want to try to do whatever we can to guide to increase the probability of the good futures happening. I think that's really what we're trying to do.
Do you worry that by making this open, some bad actors may use some of what has been developed to do bad stuff with the power of AI?
I mean that is certainly a good rebuttal to that. However, I think if AI power is widely distributed, and there's not, say, one entity that has some super AI that is 1 million times smarter than anything else. If instead AI power is broadly distributed, and to the degree that we can link AI power to each individual's will. So like you would have your AI agent, and you would everyone would have their sort of AI agent, and then if somebody did try to do something really terrible, well, then the collective will of others could overcome that bad actor. Which you can't do if there's one AI that's, a million times better than everything else.
And it's proprietary.
And it's either has its own will, or more likely, at least in the beginning, is controlled by, some small set of people. So I think that's really the risk. I mean, there's always been these arguments like, what's the best form of government? Big fan of, I think it was Churchill, like, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others.
Right.